as an MC, I walk in the room, I'm like, ooh, I'm the only chip in the cookie, you know? So in that sense is that there's a lot of people in the room who are already judging me that he's only going to play this, he's only going to play that. What happens to us as people of color and DJs of color, when I start dropping classic rock, or I start dropping some Latin stuff, or I play Rat Pack stuff, not the stuff that people know, but the deep crate stuff that people ask about, and music is me. I mean, I am wrapped up. If you just look at me, my whole skin, look real close, it's all musical lyrics. That's how I feel. I describe my body in that sense. I get much more respect when people go, wow, he just dropped a country song into an R&B song, into a pop song, and been able to go back and grab something from Motown and just keep the thing moving. Much more respect in that sense. I'd much rather let my craft do the talking. And for the most part, most of the events I do are for people of non-color in that sense. So I'm walking into that arena all the time. I consider myself, you know what? I consider myself a student of my craft, even after this many years. I feel like I'm better now because technology that has been put out there for me. But from growing up hearing Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, and Al Green, and being introduced into the hip hop when I was, growing up, and then coming in with Chicago house music, and then now I got Mobotan and Latin and stuff like that. I don't allow myself to get consumed with the negative lyrics of something, because we have such an ocean of things to pull from, to where that we can take people of non-color and make them feel unbelievably comfortable with the music that we know are going to keep them on a dance floor without them even realizing. All we have to do is prove ourselves. And the way you prove yourself is very simply is that don't get emotional about someone coming and going, oh, this song sucks. Because most DJs like to work that. You know what? Someone says this song sucks. I was like, absolutely. What do you think we should play? See, you can't fight that. You can't fight that, because my goal is this. Okay, someone requests something, I'm like, I'm gonna drop it. Even if it kills my dance floor, because I have so much confidence in myself to get it back. And I know how to deliver that information to people so that it's acceptable. A little trick I tell everybody is that if you have something that you want to drop, or any kind of music, you ask for permission. And once you ask for permission, then guess what? You have bridged the gap between playing that on and being on an island, and playing that and being on mainland.
So I think that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's what you're, you mentioned a couple things that bring some things to mind for me too. And that is that for me, and for many people like me, for Black DJs, we are the only Black people in the room for many of these events. And so, and this is something I've written about before. It's an interesting dichotomy, because there is an added, again, this is part of the privilege, if you will, that we do not have, which is, okay, I'm walking in the room. Now the room has got an impression of either me or this event or the music that's going to happen.
He has to be the DJ. He can't be a guest.
And so what I have to do is, now I have to overcome that. I have to prove myself. Now, everybody does have to prove themselves, in a professional situation. That's nothing, unique to the Black experience. But I'm talking about proving that I am worthy to be the only Black person in this room, that you are now, I have to prove to you that I have been hired for a reason, that I can lead this event, that I can be the MC, that I can make eloquent speeches using the King's English that is going to make the white people in the room comfortable. And so we have to overcome certain things right off the bat as Black DJs in a white situation. Strangely enough, think about the reverse. If you were doing a Black event, or a mostly black event, and the DJ walked in that was white, that white DJ would also have to overcome some things. But you would see what invariably happens is the black community, when they realize that a white person is legit and that has embraced them and understands them, they are all in 110% around that, and it will rally around that person. So it's a different dichotomy. The third dichotomy is a black DJ at a black event. Ooh. And I have
rough.
Yeah, it is, and I've written about this too. And I wrote an article once called "The 30-Year-Old Black Woman," and I made the mistake one time of assuming that a non-edited version of a song would go over in this crowd, because the song had been requested a few times, and I had a couple other uncomfortable moments that I was trying to recuperate from, and I got overzealous, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, this is a mostly black crowd. This non-edited version of this song will go over great. Even using the N-word, it's going to be fine. We're going to have a good time in this context." Played the song, and immediately a gentleman walked over to me and said, "Excuse me, but that's offensive. I don't know why you're playing that. That's not okay." And I mean, it still resonates with me to this day, and that was years ago.
Geoff, how do you?
That you can't take that for granted, Yeah. And it's just, it was an incredible experience.
So, if you have some words of wisdom for DJs who get into that same situation, how do you react from a situation like that?
Well, I can say for myself, my words for any DJ is, when we're talking earlier, is that you have to have extreme fortitude to not allow yourself to be consumed with the moment. Okay, because we are emotionally driven creatures, and when we're in our sets and we know the room is pumping or the room is not pumping, our minds are thinking, like for myself, is thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead of where I want to be right there. In that sense, I've had moments where I played a song and it was nothing, there was no degradation or anything like that. People just didn't like the song, and then you hear epitaphs. "You don't know what you're doing. Why are you here?" And it's like that. You know what? And I'm saying, I am here for you. What would you like to hear? And when you decide to deal with a confrontation with kindness, there's no weapon to fight kindness in that sense. Unless someone physically does something to you, if you can stay, now I'm not saying professional, stay professional, stay human. You know what? Stay human, be humble, and I always say palms up. If your palms up, you can't be threatened in that sense.
Yeah, and what I did for me specifically in that situation was and it's important to point out that the gentleman that asked me to take that song or told me that was offensive was black. And what I did at that moment was, I was flush with humiliation and immediate realization that he was absolutely right. And I thanked him for his feedback, and I immediately faded into the next song. I faded it out, and just moved on from that night. From that moment in that night. That's about all you could do, in that moment. But it just resonates with me still that you just cannot assume and put yourself in those situations when people are trying to have a good time. Like you said, there's an ocean of stuff to choose from. You don't have to choose the dark, heavy, controversial, by the way, all of which I love. In the privacy of my own home, I am listening to some dark shit, man. But this is about a party. It's a party. Realize the context that you're in, and realize that somebody else has hired you. And to answer your other question, you said if a group of white guys was out on the dance floor shouting the N-word to a song, how would you react? Well, first of all, as Marz said, you know, you shouldn't be playing that song in the first place. You're creating a situation that didn't need to be there. But if you were in that situation, I would find it threatening. I would find it threatening and offensive. And I mean, that's honestly how I would feel, because clearly they're being aggressive about it through the guise of having a good time. And we hear that a lot in the Black community. You're too sensitive. Oh, come on. That's not racist. Well, guess what? You can't slap somebody across the face and then tell them it doesn't hurt because you didn't mean for it to hurt. I don't care what you meant. It hurts. Stop it.
You know, in that sense.
So let me ask you guys this. Again, most of the music that I play is usually amended. So it's edited. You know, it takes out all of the, you know, the language. I want to talk about, and I can't remember, one of you two brought it up, not just about race, but also about sex. You know, you look at derogatory statements towards women. I want to touch base on that here in a second, because I want you to start thinking about it. But do you recommend, when we're talking a wedding, do you always recommend, or do you recommend most of the time, to use edited or amended versions of songs?
Well, for myself, and when someone is interviewing me, I let them know that I play edited versions of songs for one reason, is that if you have generations in the room, yeah, how would you walk into your grandmother's house and play this song and look her in the eye and feel comfortable? And most educated people, and I say most educated people, get that. You know what?
Or with children in the room.
You know, in that sense. So I say, from that standpoint of view, it's very easy for me and my clients to be able to connect. Like I said, my due diligence, and I know Geoff agrees with this, is that I get a vibe from someone when they want to hire me. They see me at a party, you know what? But when I start talking to them, start peeling back the layers of who they are, if I'm not feeling comfortable that they're willing to have a partnership, you know, even though I'm in servitude and they're hiring me, then you know what? I've turned down enough events to know if it smells funky, I don't want to deal with it in that sense, you know, and that's kind of guiding me in that sense. Not every person is your client. Not every person wants to be your client. You want people who want to hire you on the merits that they've seen you, or they've heard about you, or they've seen your credentials and know that is the reason why they're hiring you. Not because, you know what, I'm gonna hire a Black DJ because I heard they're better, or whatever the case may be. They're hiring you on the merits of who you are. And it's extremely important for people of color, because we have 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 different hurdles to jump over just to get back to 0. And that's the part that a lot of DJs of non-color don't have to deal with. We walk into a venue, people will stop us and say, "Can I help you?" We watch a person with non-color walk into the same venue, dressed the same way. No one stops them. Okay. We get into a venue and the staff of a country club treat you as if you're less than them. And I think a large part of that has to do with the way they're treated. But until you have all these hurdles to jump over, and the minute you walk into a room and say, "Hello, my name is so-and-so, I'm with the entertainment. I know that you're going to take care of me tonight. Could you please direct me to the room captain?" The minute you show that person that you have merit and you have a sense of who you are, and I have walked in rooms and immediately changed people's attitude simply by my approach and the way that I want to conduct myself. I'm not going to allow the world to dictate how I'm going to walk into a room, even if I know the room has got all eyes on me, because I know who I am. I know that I am great at what I do. I know that I am passionate at what I do. And if I don't allow myself to emotionally get attached to anything other than being focused on doing a great job with my client, then it's easy. It's simply.
But I wonder though. One thing that I'm struggling with, and I know exactly the context that you're saying it, but it's just that word servitude that I have to disagree with, because you are one of the top professionals in this country, and your service, which is valuable and valued and needed, is an honor for a client to have if they can even book you. So, brother, that is far from servitude. They are serving you at that point, and we are not servants. We are paid professionals because of our experience and our knowledge to guide these events successfully from start to finish, and have thrilled clients over and over again, whether we're black or white or not. You are absolutely right about the hurdles that we have to jump through. And a good example is many multi-ops have a website, and they might have a page that has thumbnail headshots of the various DJs. So if I'm a white bride and groom and I see, a black DJ, or if I see or if the company is telling me that only these 3 DJs are available for my date, and one of them is black, without any other information, what hurdles now does that DJ have to overcome to even be hired for that event, even though he might be the best DJ for that event? So we're still, in this country, we're still at that level where it makes a difference.
But don't you think it's better that they make that decision then, and not, now we hired this guy and now we're going to make this hell. We're going to, basically that's fine. If they have a problem with the color, then they need to go a different direction. But at least they're not creating the headaches because of who you are, your skin color, your female, male, female, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if they know their crowd and they know deep down they don't like black folks, then
they're not going to hire.
Please do me the favor and just keep scrolling.
Exactly.
But we're talking about all other things being even, being equal.
I agree.
So in that sense, I was working for a multi-op that many people would know, Cleveland Music Group in Cleveland. They had a thing that was called Best Choice DJ. This was years ago. I don't know if they still do it or not, and what that meant was, of course, when you were booking a wedding, you could pick your DJ based on a couple things. And it started with that thumbnail image, and then you could go a little bit deeper and read their bio, and then you would see a video. We produced videos from each one, so you could hear their voice and hear a thought or two about events and blah, blah, blah. And then they could book from there. And then, but if it was not a mission critical event like a wedding, maybe it was a corporate happy hour and it was a last minute booking, like we need somebody next week, we had this thing called Best Choice, and it was a lower cost booking, and it was basically anybody that was available. We said to the client, you don't get to pick. And I in my early days of DJing, I was on quite a few of those. Nice. But I liked it because they could not prejudge me. They couldn't skip over me when they were selecting DJs. So I still had to, when I showed up, and this is a thing that black people understand that white people don't understand. There is that moment of recognition. Oh shit, he's black. I don't care what you say, it's there. It's a recognition. And it happens no matter what. It's almost like, I am acknowledging what you look like.
You can see it happening, Jeremy. And I can't even begin, just absolutely right about it. You can't begin to explain when you can see on someone's body, you see in their eyes and their body language that that's exactly what they're thinking. And we have to immediately shift into, don't be offended by that. Just go in there, crush the event, and then guess what? They're going to be on you. Oh, he was the best and everything like that. But you file away in your head, how you're going.
Don't be afraid of me. Don't be afraid of me. It's okay. You know, and that's
how you interact with that person in the future, because they will call you back. You know what? You know, and that's
it's important to also point out that, you know, a lot of these things could be described by any human being. You know, like, of course we have preferences for how, you know, what attracts our eye to a person, you know. So whether or not you were to skip over, so it's not fair to say, oh, you skipped over the black DJ because you're racist. No. We're not saying that. We're talking about bigger issues and bigger pictures. Of course you have a preference. Maybe this other person looked exactly like your brother or something, or, you know, I don't know, you know, but and when white people walk into a room that I'm in, I also acknowledge, even subconsciously, what they look like. Oh, he's tall. Oh, you know, she's Asian, or whatever it is. You know, there's that recognition, but there is a uniqueness to the black recognition because of all of the baggage of 400 years of racism in this country brings with it.
Yeah. So, like I said, I wanted to talk about female DJs and, you know, some of the struggles that they go through. I had a great conversation with somebody today. I wanted to bring her on because she actually has a biracial daughter, and she is a very well-known female DJ in the industry. I wanted to bring her on. She had a lot of things going on with her family, with COVID and those type of things. So she wasn't able here to join us tonight. I am going to try and make that happen in the near future. But the one thing I want to end on. So, John, are you still there?
John fell asleep.
John did fall asleep. Great topic today, guys. Yeah. But what I want to talk about, so last time, like, we went an extra 5, 10, 15 minutes, I think, because it was such a great conversation. I think this is a really good conversation because there's so many DJs that I guarantee were asking and thinking the same things that I personally have. And you both just allowing yourselves to be open and expressing, this is how I would feel. This is what you have to do as a DJ. This is how you have to react to that. I think was such great content tonight. Here's what I want to end with tonight. I think a lot of us DJs, we have a lot of respect for Black community. And the reason I say that is, and maybe I'm wrong, but what I see is so many of us rely on, like you talked about, Black music. You look at jazz, you look at blues, you look at R&B, you look at Motown, you look at, everything rock. Up into, even rock. You look at the crossover. I mean, now you have country singers that are Black, and you see a lot of that music. You see a lot of the current R&B, the hip hop, and now you see almost a lot of white artists getting more into the hip hop. You look at Eminem, you look at Post Malone, you look at some of these white artists that are kind of taking on those genres as well. So you see a lot of this crossover. And I think DJs, we also realize we would be out of business if we said, no, I'm not going to play Black music. Would you guys agree on that?
I mean, unless you're playing Klan rallies, I would agree 100%. I mean, yes. I mean, American popular music is built not only on early bluegrass and folk music, but certainly on blues and jazz, and so it's and gospel. Yeah, absolutely. So it's built right into it, and I would agree with you, Jeremy. I think the performing arts in general and the entertainment field in general has an increased awareness, an increased cultural awareness and appreciation. Yeah, and that goes, you're absolutely right, for women, respect for women, and also respect for the LGBTQ community. We are what I would like to consider an enlightened community, that we do see past color, because all we want to do is make great music and great art. And that's what it's all about.
Marz?
Making people happy is what we do. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing people forget about everything that's happening and be in the moment. And music is the smallest gap that we, of all races, creeds, and colors, have between one another. Music And if we can find some way to harness that and use it with everything that's going on, we might have something really special.
Yeah.
Because a person can identify with a song that resonates through all colors. I remember specifically, and I'd like to end with this. During the Persian Gulf War, I worked at America's Bar, and at midnight every single night, we would play the Star Spangled Banner that was sang by Whitney Houston at the Super Bowl. My brother served in both Persian Gulf Wars. I used to do a monologue, and we would play that song, and then we would play American Pie. And those two songs back to back, no one was thinking about anything other than the unity that we felt as a country in that sense, because of the way that it was delivered, the way that it was set up, and the meaning behind it in that sense. So when it comes to music of any kind, you just have to be comfortable enough to know that if something pops off the way you don't expect it to, be prepared to handle it. I believe that Black DJs are much more prepared to handle it because it is a lifestyle that we have lived for, preparing ourselves for things happening at a moment's notice. I know that I'm much more prepared for crisis management when it comes down to things than some of my white counterparts because of the path that I've lived my life. Would you agree with that, Geoff?
Sometimes our lives could be, considered crisis management, depending on where we are, and what situations we're in. So, yes, I would agree 100%.
I think it shows, this has been a phenomenal conversation, guys. And I couldn't thank you guys enough. I both have so much respect for you, for both of you.
And likewise, too, brother.
Absolutely.
Really, we appreciate it.
You're legit. You're legit. Love you. And you haven't put anything up on your YouTube channel in a while. I'm a little disappointed.
I know. I've slacked off.
Been busy.
But one thing that both of you guys, softly said is we have such a powerful opportunity in our business. We bring people together with music. We bring people together with our role as a master of ceremonies and make people feel and, put everything aside and only care about that moment. And that happens in our jobs with a microphone and music and heart. And, that again, that shows you how much power we have in this industry. Now we just need to go out and make that difference. So,
amen.
Guys, thank you so much. And again, everybody, Geoff Short, down in are you Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah,
Fort Lauderdale, Florida. DJ. Yeah, we'll go visit Geoff. We'll do a live show.
And then don't come here right now. It's the COVID hotspot of the country.
Well, you guys could come up here. We have
thank you.
We have 18 cases now. So
that's where I'm going.
Because nobody lives here. But guys, thank you so much. This means a lot. Yes, it means a lot for you guys to be on the show here tonight. We will kind of keep everybody in the loop with additional shows based on this. Like I said, we would like to do something based on the female DJs in the industry and some of the struggles that they even go through. So it's not just race; it comes down to sex, and it really went from wedding chat to something I think much bigger in words that need to be heard in our DJ industry. So Geoff, Marz, thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
See you.